Okay.
Got it.
Right. Welcome
Okay, so
welcome everybody to the Asia Farm Animal Day. It's an event that the Asia for Animals Coalition organized to celebrate the World Day for Farmed Animals, which is on 2nd of October. But from last year, our coalition, which includes 23 core members and over 350 associate members, have decided that we will aim to organize the event every year, and this is the second year. So we're really happy that you're here, to see you here. And today we have one session in English. This morning we already have two, one in Vietnamese and one in Japanese. And this is one for international participants. Today we have Lupemaria from Mercy for Animals acting as our moderator. And we also have speakers from Sinergia Anima and from FIAPO, Surbhi Chopra. But I will leave it with Lupemaria to introduce the session and speakers. The crowd is yours, Lupemaria.
thank you, Tian, and thank you everyone for joining us today on Asia Farm Animal Day. And congratulations to all of you for your commitment to saving many animal lives every day. We have two amazing and inspiring presentations for you today, and we will have time at the end of the session to go over some questions. So please make sure that you're writing your questions in the chat window as we go. So as Stan mentioned, my name is Lupemaria Beal. I'm an international project manager for Mercy for Animals for about a year and a half now. And in this position, well, it's amazing because I get to work for farm animals and I get to work and collaborate with people around the world. So it is a pleasure to be here with you today. And let's get started. Our first presenter is Surbhi Chopra. She is a social worker who personally takes care of 16 stray dogs and works for World Animal Protection in India on behalf of farm animals. She leads the corporate engagement work for bringing animal welfare for farm animals to the attention of key players in the food business. Encouraging many people every day to help animals has been an important part of her journey as a campaign officer through conducting online and offline awareness activities. Surbhi, welcome, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thanks for the lovely introduction also. So yeah, hello everyone. This is Surbhi from World Animal Protection, as Luke mentioned. So I'm really looking forward to sharing some encouraging stories with everybody who is hearing us today. And so as part of our campaigns that we do at World Animal Protection, we do a lot of public mobilization activities. So we have been always actively organizing these awareness activities on ground and talking about for farm animals. We majorly focus on showing the true side of the farming industry to people on how about they can bring a behavioral shift and really know how they need to treat animals on ground as well. So that's what we spread awareness about. And as part of our virtual mobilization since past 2 years, we recently started with a series called Hear from Real, as the name suggests. So we basically brought about a lot of individuals to share their real stories. These are individuals or influencers, some subject experts, etc., on basic subjects around animals in farming. So they really share their views on how you can help animals on everyday basis as per your individual capacities. So yeah, coming up next is the first video where you'll see some of the people who share their stories from the individual perspective regarding farmed animals. So yeah, Luke, can you share the first video?
Sure. And I think Tan is going to share it for us now.
Great.
Hi guys, my name is Pooja Sharma. I'm a part-time musician, a part-time data analyst and a full-time animal lover, that is a full-time job. I'd really like to apologize for my greasy hair. Very lazy. Could not even bother before recording this. Alright, first of all, I'd really like to thank World Animal Protection India for having me here. It is such an honor. Thank you so much, guys. I went vegan about 14 months back, and it's probably one of the best decisions that I took for animals, for our environment, and for my own body. Climate change is real, guys, and the time to act is, the time to act was probably 10 or 20 years back, but the least we can do is act now. There are so many things in our lives that we have zero control over, things that are completely out of our control. However, what we choose to eat, what we choose to put on our plates, what we choose to wear, that is 100% under our control. You can actually save lives by going vegan. Just to put this thought into perspective, a vegan saves 365 lives a year on an average. 365, that's a big number. A vegan also saves 8.29 lakh liters of water in a year. That's a big number. You can reduce your carbon footprint by 73% by going vegan. Guys, you can actually do superhero stuff for animals, for our planet, just by changing your own habits. Like, isn't that wonderful? That's awesome. Make a power move today. Go vegan.
Hi, my name is Subhashish Ghosh, and I'm going to share my plant-based journey with you. I have left eating animal products a long back, 5.5 years ago, and it gives me a very nice positive transformation. I'm an India Book of Record holding ultra marathoner. I've run 60 kilometers. So you can understand how much strength and stamina is required to do so. I request you also to leave animal-based product and get a positive transformation in your life also. Let's make this world a better place for living for all.
What's up, guys? This is Roshni Salvi. I was raised vegetarian all my life. I decided to switch to a plant-based diet about the age of 22-23. At that time, I got my first copy of the book The China Study, and trust me, it was life-changing. There was so much nutritional science which I read in the book The China Study. I highly insist everyone to read it. And once I knew what goes on in your body when you consume dairy and meat, I never wanted to touch it again. A plant-based diet is not only good for the environment, but most importantly, it's good for your body. Dairy and meat are carcinogenic, it's toxic for your body. And that made me switch to a plant-based diet, and I've never looked back. I'm in the healthiest shape of my life.
Namaste. My name is Harshdeep Singh. I'm a lawyer and a classical hatha yoga teacher. My journey of living a plant-based life started 3 years ago, back in 2017, when I went to a personal growth program called Inner Engineering, and that had a huge impact on me and kindled a deep transformation within me. After which I started living much more consciously and knowing how much of an impact my own diet is having on my own health and the environment. I thought it's a no-brainer to give plant-based living a try. There were doubts initially about how I would, my health would react to it, but it's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. And yes, you won't regret it giving it a try. Plus, it's the need of the hour as well, since our planet has been ravaged by animal agriculture like never before. So yes, I'd like to wish you luck in resorting to and giving a plant-based living a try. Namaste.
Thank you, Than, for sharing that. So yeah, those were some real life stories that we wanted you to hear from, since we have always been hearing from subject experts. So these were some real examples that we had. Now coming up next, we have a short recording from our volunteer. I think she has joined us live as well. So it's basically her story sharing how she transformed her lifestyle towards veganism from being a non-vegetarian. So yeah, she has an amazingly encouraging journey to learn from. So yeah, maybe we can look at the second video.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sangeeta Bhuya. I am a dentist and a public health professional. I am here to share my experience of helping animals in my everyday life and being inspired by World Animal Protection India. So basically I am from Assam, northeast part of India. I was born and brought up in a non-vegetarian family. Non-veg food like fish, duck, pork, these are like kind of staple food for us. And gifting fish, meat to our relatives during festival is a part of our culture. I too never used to feel guilty about eating animals, although I have been considering myself as a big animal lover, and I always have pets like dogs at home. But things changed when I stepped out of my home and Assam for my graduation. When I was living with my family, it was my mom who used to cook those non-veg food for us, and it was my dad who used to buy them from the market. But when I started living away from my family in a hostel, I used to get that craving for meat. So one day I went to the market with one of my good friends to buy non-veg, and that was the first time in my life I saw the suffering of those animals, birds, with my own eyes, and that experience was so painful for me that I couldn't even stand there. I left that place immediately. I couldn't even think of cooking them. So after that, it was my friend who used to get those non-veg food for us. She used to cook, and I just used to eat. But I started noticing one change in me, that after that incident, whenever I used to eat any non-veg food, I started feeling guilty. After eating, my heart used to feel very heavy. So one day I made a promise to myself that I will never eat any animals or birds ever again in my life. Here I would like to share my realization with you all. Like I told you earlier, I have been considering myself as an animal lover, and I have dogs at my home and other pets also at my home, like always throughout my life. So I found it a big hypocrisy that in one hand I'm saying I'm animal lover and loving dogs, keeping them at home, and in other hand I'm eating other animals. Actually thought, like, how would I feel if someone hurts my dogs, my pets? This realization was enough to turn a hardcore non-vegetarian to a vegetarian. Soon after completing my graduation, I moved to Delhi for my post-graduation. That time actually I was looking for a genuine opportunity to help animals and also to contribute towards animal welfare. And after some time, fortunately I got connected with World Animal Protection India. While volunteering in their dairy camps for dairy animals, I got exposure on life of dairy animals. I came to know the dark side of dairy industry for the first time in my life actually. And after knowing this truth, the facts about cruelty of dairy industry, I started changing my diet from vegetarian to vegan. And after making this decision, I started researching, I started reading things about vegan diet, and I replaced all my food with plant-based protein, plant-based food, fruits, and with vegetables. To be very honest, I actually didn't face any difficulties, because I made this decision after knowing the truth and out of my honest realization and principle. So from last 2 years, I'm a complete vegan. So throughout this journey from non-vegetarian to vegetarian and then finally vegan, I have realized one thing for sure, that if you do proper research, if you know the true side of these dairy industries, animal farming, it is actually made you think about it, about your food choices, about your food habits. But the real challenge I face is to motivate other people to do the same. Whenever I try to educate people regarding adopting veganism, the first thing I have noticed that in India, people have that mentality, that mindset already, that vegan food is rich people diet, it's celebrity diet. The first thing they say is following vegan diet, it's not at all affordable and it's not easy to follow. Here I would like to mention that if you do proper research, following vegan diet is not at all difficult actually. For example, the first thing people say is, what about milk? Almond milk, soya milk, these are very costly at market. But if you know how to make almond milk, how to make oats milk, how to make soya milk at home, and how to replace your meat-based protein with plant-based protein, with fruits, vegetables, then a vegan diet is not at all hard, not at all difficult to follow, because I tried it, I am following it, and I am not actually facing any difficulties. But after facing all these challenges also, I successfully helped 2 of my good friends to adopt veganism, and I really am very hopeful that in near future I will be able to try harder, and I will be able to motivate more and more people to adopt cruelty free diet by showing them the true side of dairy industry and the true side of animal farming. I strongly believe that a little bit of our understanding, a little bit of exposure, proper exposure, a little bit of our empathy, and little bit of our time can do wonder in the lives of this voiceless living being. And here I would like to thank World Animal Protection for giving me the opportunity to be a volunteer in their organization, to be a part of this organization, and to be a contributor towards animal welfare. World Animal Protection India has been a strongest voice for animal welfare. More than being a vegan or changing my diet and being a volunteer of World Animal Protection, I have been helping community animals throughout my life by feeding them and by giving shelter to them whenever it's needed, and helping them in terms of emergency medical care, and also motivating my friends and other people to do the same. I really am very hopeful that in near future more and more people will come forward and more people will be more empathetic towards animal, and together we can truly bring a great change in these voiceless living beings.
Yes, so that was a brief introduction of how our volunteers feel while working with us and how they make transformative changes in their lifestyles. So these were some inspiring stories that I hope you liked it. This was something different from having usual presentations that we often see. So this was not me speaking as a subject expert, but rather some real life stories and people sharing their journeys of how they help animals on individual basis, so that you can also start your journey towards kindness and helping animals in your daily life as well. So yeah, this is how you can also bring about a huge impact in the lives of animals by making small changes to your lifestyle. Hope you liked it. So thank you so much. Thank Andu.
We liked it very much. Thank you, Surbhi, for bringing us these testimonials. Very, very powerful. To continue with this celebration of saving many animals every day, it's a pleasure to introduce to you my friend Wich, Public Affairs Director for Southeast Asia at Sinergia Animal. She joined Sinergia in 2019, where her work has focused on reducing the suffering of farm animals and creating a more sustainable and compassionate food system. Welcome, Wich.
Lupemaria, and hello everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today, and thank you so much, Surbhi, for such an amazing presentation. I love hearing stories, especially like personal stories from people. They're just so beautiful. It's really hard to follow. It's really hard to follow this presentation, but I'll try my best. So let me share my screen. Okay. Could you please tell me if you see the presentation?
We can see it. Yes.
That's great. All right. So today I will also be sharing my personal stories as well, how I started in my activism journey. It's like rather personal, just like everyone else's story. Everyone has unique and their own stories to tell, right? And I would like to kind of like offer some suggestion of what I think you can start if you haven't done any activism at all. And I hope you learn something or can get some takeaways to use in your life. This is not a laminated blueprint for activism. These are just my personal opinions shaped by my lived experience. You do not have to treat it like a checklist for your activism, and you can also disagree with me. Another point I'd like to add is that I will use the term non-human animals throughout the presentation. Sometimes I might slip and use animals as well, but please understand that it means non-human animals. And I insist on using this because sometimes I think myself as well, I think we tend to forget that humans too are a species of animals. And I just don't feel right using the word animals as if this word doesn't refer to us or as if we don't belong to this category. So for me, animals means us humans and other species too. So let me start this story here. It was some warmer months in Philadelphia in 2015. Philadelphia is a city in northeastern United States. So at that time, I was an ovo-lacto vegetarian. So I was still eating cow's milk and eggs at that time. And then one day, my friend and I, we were walking around the streets of Philadelphia when I found a bird like lying very still right in the middle of the sidewalk. It like they looked like they were dead already. But we went closer to check anyways, to check them out to see how they were doing. And there were a mourning dove. A mourning dove is kind of like a bird that is very common in Philadelphia. It's very like local, common wild bird. So we found that the bird was still breathing, although very faintly. And we were very afraid that the bird was going to die. So we decided we would like to do something. So we took them home. We researched on the internet, see what we could do. We took the bird to the local vet just to be turned away, and they said that they cannot take care of wild animals. So we did some research online and found that there is a wild animal clinic kind of outside of the city. So we went there. We tried really hard. We put the bird very carefully in the box. We rode 2 buses to the wildlife clinic outside of the city. And then we arrived there eventually. I think it was a really long trip. We took 2 buses and we had to hitchhike a little bit in order to get to the wildlife clinic because the bus didn't go directly there. But anyway, we tried really hard and we were very proud of ourselves. We felt really good about ourselves that we just saved a life. I mean, that was like how our expressions were probably like at that time, like very happy like this dog. And to celebrate this, we stopped at a pizza joint on our way home. I ordered what I thought was a vegetarian pizza, like just spinach and mushroom and cheese. But when it comes with chicken's flesh in it. And I was distressed and furious. I mean, I wasn't being rude to the weather, because I mean, Thai culture, like Thai people in general, we try to avoid confrontation, but I was distressed and furious, and I tried to like furiously pick the flesh out from my pizza. But what my friend said, this is what my friend said. She said like, what, but it's already dead. I mean, no matter how hard you try picking the flesh out, it's already dead anyway, so you might as well just eat it. And I was right. Yeah, she was right. Even though I refused to eat the flesh of individuals on the pizza, the animals are already dead, right? Millions of them were probably being killed at the moment I was furiously picking out the flesh from the pizza. And what is fundamentally different between the mourning dove that my friend and I just saved and chickens that are killed to be served as flesh on my pizza? They were both avian species. And that night I did not sleep. I'm telling you, I did not sleep. I kept thinking, like, does this mean my individual change doesn't mean anything at all? And it took me a while to like be at peace with myself and came to the conclusion that, okay, I mean, personal change, it's a great starting point. I mean, we need to start from us, but if we would like to make greater impact, I think it is important to go beyond individual changes, and that's where activism comes in. What activism looks like to many people, it's like they think we need to go out on the streets, holding signs, joining a demonstrations, chanting slogans, or like hold a public debate table, inviting like non-vegans to debate with you whether like eating animals is wrong, change my mind, something like that. That's the image that is popularized into like in the mainstream activism, right? But I think activism can come in many forms. And here are just my suggestion. I have divided them into 4 points. If you haven't started any activism anywhere before, I think maybe this is where you can start. Right, from people around you. So when you talk to people around you, you can be true to your values and be kind at the same time. So you don't have to go very far just by living vegan, or even if you're just trying to reduce animal products in your life, it's enough to spark interest of people around you already, especially your family members. They will definitely ask you many questions at the family gatherings, which oftentimes involve food, why you refuse to consume some food that they offer to you. This is what I used to say, which is something I regret until these days, spoiler alert. So what I used to say when people ask me why I don't consume particular animal products is, oh, I was trying to lose weight, or, oh, it's for my health. I regret these statements until these days for various reasons. But at that time, I didn't know any better. And I say this because I would like to avoid confrontation. And I regret this because by claiming that I wanted to lose weight on a vegetarian or vegan diet, I was perpetuating fat phobia. I think it is important to respect people of all shapes and all body types, and other social justice movements should not be compromised in order for us to advocate for non-human animals. If I can go back in time, I would definitely stop myself from saying such a thing. So what I would like to say instead, I would like to be true to my values. I would like to be unapologetically explain why I wouldn't accept some fruit that contains animal from my family and from my friends. And I would like to suggest you to do the same. It seems threatening at first, but if you try it, it's not going to be that difficult. So when people ask you, don't be afraid to state your values instead of just picking up random excuse that might be perpetuating other misogynistic values that you don't actually believe in. But you can do it in a kind way and not placing blame on other people. So this is the way that I think you can do it. You can focus on yourself, saying how you feel and how you think instead of placing blame on the listeners. So for example, when someone asks you why you refuse to eat any products that come from cow's milk, you can say that, oh, I learned that in the milk industry, baby cows are separated from their moms. It made me feel really sad. So I don't want to support this industry anymore. So focusing on you and what you learn and how you feel instead of, this is just an extreme example, but believe it or not, I used to do this as well. So here's what I don't think anyone should say. I personally try to stop myself from doing this. So what you don't want to say is when someone asks you why you don't consume some products, you don't have to say something like this, like, don't you know how milk industry tortures baby cows and their mother? How could you continue participating in this? I know this is the truth, but it might make the listener close their hearts and minds and stop wanting to hear from us any further. So I think if you shift the focus to yourself, you don't place the blame to anybody. At the same time, you state your values and then you let them think for themselves. Second one, online activism. And a lot of people tend to not think that take online activism seriously, but it is more powerful than you think. Some organizations like Sinergia Animal conduct pressure campaigns towards companies and major contributors of animal agriculture using online tools. For example, sending emails, sending messages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And in this day and age, where social gatherings are restricted in many countries in the world because of the health concerns, online activism can be very powerful. Twitter especially has been recognized as one of the most powerful tools for putting pressure on decision makers and world leaders to take necessary actions. And with online activism, your voice can directly reach the big leaders of the world, no matter where you live. So if you want to know more, you can read our blog post. Our staff writer has written this wonderful blog post explaining how virtual activism can really make an impact. I can drop the link in the chat box afterwards if you are interested in reading about it. Here's an example of how online activism can make an impact. I would like to talk about our divestment campaign. So our divestment campaign is a campaign in which we collaborate with other organizations, not just animal protection organizations, but environmental organizations as well. And then we ask major development banks who are investing funds in the expansion of animal agriculture to stop doing so. So if you don't already know, major development banks like World Bank, for example, they are investing a lot of money in helping meat producer to expand their business. And because this animal agriculture and meat industry, I mean, first of all, it put like billions of animals in the lives of misery, right? And then it is also destructive to the environment. So we don't want development banks to invest funds in this business any further. So we asked them to stop doing that and divert the funds to the system that is more sustainable for the future instead. So here's what we did in November last year during the Finance in Common Summit, which is the first global meeting of all public development banks around the world. So we coordinated an online action and asked our volunteers to send tweets tagging World Bank and asked them to stop funding factory farms. We also used our own campaign hashtag, which is divest factory farming, and also use the hashtag of the event. So when people search for finance in common hashtag, the tweets from our volunteers will come up too. And I think it was successful because Dr. Rajiv Shah, the president of the Rockefeller Foundation, talked about the environmental impact of industrialized animal agriculture during his live interview. And his answers were heard by executives of the major divestment banks and foundations of the world. The campaign is still ongoing. We still have a lot of work to do. And we hope the decision makers from major development banks like the World Bank will see how destructive the animal agriculture is and divest funds from factory farming very soon. You can help add the pressure to this campaign by being a part of becoming a volunteer. We accept international volunteers no matter where they are in the world. And you can check out and sign up to be a volunteer on World Wide Web, divestfactoryfarming.org. Number 3, local sanctuaries. So visit, donate to, or volunteer at local sanctuaries. So I think we have to work both ways, right? We have to try to take down one of the important pillars that keep industrialized animal agriculture going, which is money. But it is also important to support local sanctuaries that save and rescue animals from streets or from slaughterhouse and help them to have the lives they deserve. This is these 2 water buffaloes are from a sanctuary in Thailand. I think they're just very cute, so let's put it on the presentation. I haven't met them in person though. I hope I have an opportunity to go there soon. So these sanctuaries, they require money to hire staff, to buy food, buy medicines and other supplies to take care of non-human animals. So they need our donation. Please donate to your local sanctuaries. But I mean, donations are great, but if you have time and you have the resource to do so, I also would like to suggest that you arrange a trip with friends to visit these sanctuaries. People there they're just happy, they're over the moon when they are visitors. And I love going to these sanctuaries for various reasons. The main one being that it's a wonderful feeling to have an opportunity to connect with these individuals after having seen so much graphic footage on the internet and see photos of how they are being exploited. And it's also a good reminder, like at least for me, why I am their ally. And it's like a fuel for me to keep working and continue working for them. Number 4, and the last one, popularize local plant-based ingredients. So one of the volunteers in the presentation that Surbhi showed before also say this, but veganism in the global south is usually viewed as a lifestyle that only rich people can afford. And this image of veganism is one of the main reasons why many people reject veganism. And veganism, it's a word that was coined at least like less than 100 years ago. I think it was like 80 years ago when someone invented this word. But the concept of consuming plant-based ingredients and excluding animal-based ingredients have existed in Asian cultures for way, way longer than that. The image of veganism in the mainstream media mainly consisted of expensive meat substitutes, eggs alternatives, and other expensive superfood like acai powder. Like, why these alternatives are great? These are not the products that are accessible for everyone. We just have to admit this. So I would like to invite everyone to just pull back a little bit, explore our roots and our culture, our cuisine. Let's explore what plant-based products already exist in our Asian cuisine. In Thailand, for example, tofu and local vegetables and like mushroom, we have been consuming that. Like they have been a part of our cuisine for a long time. I'm sure it's even before the word veganism was invented. And in Indonesia, tempeh is a very common street food. You pretty much see tempeh everywhere you go. So take this into consideration when you present your lifestyle to other people. If, like, for example, I don't know, like if my feed is filled with expensive products, like about Beyond Burger and imported almond milk, for example, I mean, I don't know how other people will look at veganism. So okay, I think everyone deserves to enjoy delicious meat substitutes if they can afford to do social media to present a more affordable alternative of plant-based products too. I think there will be a space, and we should make an effort to build space for these local products. So let's popularize plant-based ingredients that already exist in our culture.
Very powerful to help our message with others. I know that when I was considering doing this change to a more veggie diet, really hearing the experiences from others, knowing that it's very much possible and that is really such a good change in many ways, definitely help in my own personal journey. Thank you very much. So let's take on some questions. Please, you can write your questions in the chat window, or you can raise your hand and ask your question live. So we have a first question, and I think Surbhi, this is for you, and basically it's about how can we talk to our families when they don't understand why we are making the change in what we eat.
Yeah, thank you, Lou, for that question. So I think a very obvious answer, since now we have a lot of stories from my end and also from Wich's end of how you really want to present to your families, is not just pushing putting your thing in front of them like a very hard statement that you are influencing others or just pushing others also to follow the same, but rather just sharing your views of what you really feel about the whole concept and your ideologies, your ethics, how you want to see that situation. So just putting across a personal thought, a personal choice is good enough to speak to your families rather than pushing them also to follow the same, because nobody's going to turn vegan or go for plant-based diet until unless there's a will from within. So if there's nothing that comes from within, all you can do directly is just share the actual facts and some real stories, or maybe some realities that you already know of. So you can share those things with them, educate them more, make them more aware of the real situation, and let them decide of what they think about it rather than you pushing them to take a decision. So we can take a decision for ourselves, not for others. So that's all I would like to say. Maybe Rich can add to it, since she also made this choice and her base thing from family.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think what you said is amazing. Like when you share that we cannot make choices for other people, right? They can only make choices for themselves. And I'm not sure if I'm the best person to speak about this, because none of my family members are vegan, even though my sister, like my older sister, is the one who just kind of point out the pitfall in my value and my belief. But I've never been successful in convincing my family to go vegan at all. What I did was just be true to my values, like saying why I do this, and saying that, I mean, because I don't want to support in this anymore, but they can make their own choice. And I feel like family members are the hardest people to convince, even harder than friends, actually. I don't know if you feel the same, Surbhi or Lupemaria.
Definitely. I think the more you push someone to your perspective, they are going to rebel out of it. So I think instead of pushing someone, we can just share our views that this is what we think and this is what our perspective is. And I'm sure like a lot of people who do not really accept the fact, but after we end the conversation, back of their mind, they do think about the same thing of what we really said to them or what exactly happens. They go on Google, they search about certain things or what exactly is happening in the industry. They might not accept upfront, but they do think about it. I think as long as you mention that there's something wrong happening, people do keep a check. So that serves the purpose. If not now, maybe in future, people will start thinking about animals in general.
Definitely. It's really about planting that seed.
Yes.
Excellent. Let's see. We have our next question. And I think, Wish, this is for you. For starters, what would you say to people who said that they will not consider going vegan because, you know, this problem or this matter is just so big and a person can't really make a change?
Wow, that's a very difficult question because I did ask this question to myself in the past, right? But I feel like I would respond to that person that, okay, like you're wrong, you're more powerful than you think, and each person has a power to make the change. And I would only say that and then share my experience, like share why I think it's important to go vegan while advocating for animals at the same time. I would say that, okay, I think it would be weird for me to like advocating for the meat industry to end, or if I continue to like participate in that in this industry by paying to buy meat or eggs or dairy, I would feel weird. So I think personal change, it's the starting point that is important. And I would also say something like, oh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I would also say something like, okay, I think it's important to live vegan life because it's a way to make a statement by choosing not to participate in that like industry anymore. It's a way to make a statement that, okay, I don't agree with the process of putting animals under the life of misery in order for us to get the products for them to be put on the table. So that's how I would respond.
Excellent. Thank you for your response. And we have another question in the chat window. Is there any PDF or website which lists the alternatives to animal skin clothing, footwear, and other products like cosmetics so that it can be shared?
So I don't think there's a specific document that we have anywhere, but if you go online and like I've seen myself a lot of the times, so there are a lot of very eco-friendly things that eco-friendly brands who have now come up with cruelty-free products. So if you just search by cruelty-free products in India or wherever you live in any part of the India, you surely get a good number of examples, because earlier it wasn't that common, but now there are a lot of good number of brands who are coming up with cruelty free. So all you need to check is they will either have a vegan logo on that or a cruelty free logo. So they will definitely surely mention that aspect, and everything's available. Like I'm just going over the things that you have mentioned for clothing, footwear, cosmetics. I think everything is available that is not that is cruelty free actually. So you can definitely check that out, but not surely in one place. Probably you'll have to collate in one place yourself and then share across your networks. Yeah.
Thank you, Surbhi. And we have another question for this panel. What are your thoughts on organizations like offices and schools introducing concepts like Meatless Monday? Do they have an impact?
Of course, yes, I think they definitely have a huge impact. Like we have already discussed that every step matters. So if there are going to be concepts like Meatless Mondays, at least for one day, everybody is not consuming meat. So there are a lot of lives being saved that day. And it might also give some perspective to people to think about if they want to increase that by another day, or that's basically about reducing your consumption. So we are also running a campaign where we ask people to reduce their meat consumption and shift to a plant-based diet, because it has to be gradual growth. Like whoever we have here who have adopted veganism, everybody's aware that it is not a gradual shift that you one day decide that from tomorrow I'm not going to eat anything and directly jump on from non-vegetarian to being vegan. But you will have to reduce your consumption, because you need to give some time to your body also to adapt to a certain diet. So yeah, I think that's a great concept. So maybe Wish can also add to it. What do you think about it?
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Surbhi, that it has a huge impact. Sinergia Animal has the similar program in Thailand that will be launched in Thailand as well, called Nourishing Tomorrow, where we ask schools and like offices to serve at least one plant-based meal a day. And I think it makes a huge impact because it also shows people that, oh, it is possible to eat a meal with that doesn't have any animal products at all, because a lot of people tend to think that a meal is not a meal without like piece of meat in it. This is what I've heard from a lot of people. So Meatless Monday, or a program similar to this, is one way to introduce them to plant-based meal and show them that, oh, it is possible. And like Surbhi already mentioned earlier, it's one way to introduce them to this, and then maybe they will decide to increase the number of meals they can, plant-based meal they consume, and maybe entirely go vegan afterwards.
Yeah, I think this question really goes back to that, planting a seed, leading by example, and putting, and I think food is such a kind way, feeding somebody. It's such a kind way of introducing change to the person and to those around you. So I agree wholeheartedly with you that these are amazing programs that have a lot of impact. So we are getting to the end of our time together, but if there is any other question, please let us know. And for now, well, let me say thank you to everyone that joined us today. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you to our presenters, Surbhi and Wich, and to everybody. Happy Asia Farm Animal Day. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we hope you're having a very veggie dinner.
Thank you,
See
everyone.
you soon.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks.
And
have a great day.
see you soon. Bye bye.